The hustle of Ceres starport was never-ending. Ships docked and departed like clockwork, their engines humming a constant backdrop to the interstellar commerce thriving under the massive domes of the port. Jack Dalton, clad in his usual rugged attire, meandered through the crowds, his eyes scanning for unique biological samples. An exobiologist with a penchant for rare species, Jack had an uncanny ability to uncover the extraordinary among the stars. Beside him, his colleague, Tom Benson, a fellow researcher with a sharper tongue but an equally keen eye, pointed to a bustling corner of the starport. "Looks like there's something big going down there," Tom remarked, his voice tinged with curiosity. Jack squinted past the neon lights and digital banners. "Let's check it out. Could be a lead on some rare specimens." As they approached, the crowd thickened. It wasn't a ship arrival causing the commotion, but an auction. The stage was flanked by holograms displaying exotic creatures from distant planets. Jack's focus narrowed when he spotted a being unlike any other, held in a transparent containment unit. She was clearly not from this galaxy. Her skin shimmered with a natural luminescence that changed subtly with her movements. "Look at her, Tom. Have you ever seen anything like it?" Jack asked, his voice low, a mix of awe and concern etched into his words. "No, and I don't like the look of this. That's not a regular auction, Jack. It's a black market sale. That's got to be illegal. Even out here," Tom replied, his brow furrowed as he observed the setup. They watched as the auctioneer boasted about the alien's unique qualities. "And here, ladies and gentlemen, we present a rare gem from Alicia, capable of extraordinary emotional expressions through her skin, enhanced with desire injections to ensure compliance and utmost beauty. She is a marvel to behold and own." Jack felt a knot in his stomach. "Desire injections? That's barbaric. We got to do something, Tom." Tom looked around, cautious. "We're not exactly equipped to handle a rescue op, mate. Think this through." Jack's gaze returned to the alien woman. Their eyes met briefly, and a silent please seemed to pass between them. He made up his mind in that instant. "I can't just walk away." Turning to Tom, Jack laid out a rapid plan. "I'll create a distraction. You hack into their system, fake a security breach. We can get her out in the chaos." Tom sighed, but the resolve in Jack's eyes told him arguments would be futile. "Fine, but you owe me a drink if we get out of this without being arrested." Jack managed a half-smile and nodded before making his way closer to the stage, blending into the crowd. As the bidding started, he subtly manipulated his wrist device, sending signals to Tom to initiate the hack. Meanwhile, Tom worked his magic on a nearby terminal, fingers flying over the holographic keys. The security alarms blared suddenly, lights flashing red, causing a moment of panic among the crowd. "Security breach detected. All personnel, please respond." The automated warning system added to the confusion. Using the commotion as cover, Jack reached the stage, his heart pounding. He looked at the alien, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. "I'm here to help you," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the chaos. Quickly, he unlocked the containment unit, taking her hand gently. "Trust me," he urged, sensing her hesitation. As they ran towards the exit, Tom met them halfway, leading them through a maze of corridors and into the docking bay where Jack's ship was parked. They hurried aboard, and within moments, they were disconnecting from the port, the starport shrinking behind them as they sped into the safety of space. Jack turned to the alien, who was now watching him with an intensity that made him pause. "We're going to get you somewhere safe. I promise," he said, hoping that his words could be understood. She nodded slowly, her skin shifting through a spectrum of soft colors, a visual sigh of relief. As the adrenaline of the escape ebbed away, Jack and Tom exchanged looks. They knew their lives were about to change significantly, but at that moment, they had to focus on the journey ahead. Jack piloted the spacecraft with a steady hand, the star-streaked cosmos blurring past the viewports. Beside him, Tom kept a wary eye on the sensors, ensuring they weren't followed. The alien woman, Lyra, sat quietly in the back, her luminous eyes reflecting the distant stars. "Clear so far," Tom finally said, breaking the silence. "No sign of pursuit." Whoever was running that auction will have a hard time explaining this to their buyers. Jack nodded, his mind racing with the next steps. We need to find a place to lay low. Any ideas? There's a station on the edge of the Neptunian fields. Old research outpost, mostly abandoned now. It's off the main routes. We should be safe there, Tom suggested, pulling up the coordinates on the navigation panel. Set a course, Jack replied, relieved to have a destination. The ship hummed softly as they adjusted their trajectory, the engines responding with a gentle thrum. In the silence that followed, Jack turned his attention to Lyra. He approached her, his demeanor gentle. Lyra, right? We haven't properly introduced ourselves. I'm Jack, and that's Tom. We're here to help. Lyra watched him, her expression unreadable. After a moment, she spoke, her voice soft but clear. I understand. Thank you, Jack Tom. I am Lyra of Alicia. Do you feel okay? Those injections they mentioned. Jack trailed off, unsure how to ask about her condition without seeming intrusive. Lyra's skin shifted to a pale blue, a sign of distress. The injections, they dull my senses, control emotions. It is uncomfortable. Tom, overhearing the conversation, chimed in from the cockpit. We might be able to help with that. Once we're at the station, I'll see what medical supplies are left. Maybe there's something that can counteract the effects. Thank you, Lyra said, managing a small smile. Her gratitude was palpable, the colors on her skin swirling in warmer hues. As the hours passed, the small ship buzzed with activity. Tom dug through their limited medical kit, muttering to himself, while Jack showed Lyra around the ship. He explained their research, showed her the lab filled with samples from different planets, and talked about Earth, a planet she had never seen except in images. Earth sounds beautiful, Lyra remarked, her tone wistful as Jack described the oceans and mountains. It is, Jack agreed, but so is the universe. Every part of it, including where you're from. Alicia, you said? Yes, Alicia is known for its vibrant skies and gentle seas. My people are peaceful, we're peaceful, Lyra corrected herself, her glow dimming with the memory of her abduction. Jack placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. We'll do everything we can to make you feel safe, Lyra. As they approached the station, Tom called them back to the cockpit. We're about to dock. Jack, you want to see this? The station loomed ahead, a relic of a busier time, its structure pocked with meteorite impacts in the wear of decades. They docked smoothly, the airlock hissing as it sealed. Let's get the power up and see about those medical supplies, Jack said as they disembarked. Together, they explored the dimly lit corridors of the station. Tom located the power controls, and with a few adjustments, the lights flickered to life, illuminating the dusty interior. Found something, Tom exclaimed from a medical bay. He held up a vial with a clear liquid. It's a neural stabilizer. Might help with those injections. Lyra looked hopeful, the colors on her skin swirling with a soft light. Please, let's try. Jack administered the stabilizer with careful precision, monitoring Lyra's reactions closely. Within minutes, her expression eased, and the colors on her skin brightened. It's working, she murmured, a genuine smile spreading across her face. That's great news, Jack replied, relief flooding his voice. They gathered in the main hall of the station, a newfound sense of camaraderie among them. We'll stay here for a while, figure out our next move, Jack decided. But for now, Lyra, you're safe with us? As they settled into the station, the weight of their actions began to sink in. They had taken a stand, not just for Lyra, but against the injustices lurking in the shadows of the galaxy. Together, they would navigate this new chapter, their paths irrevocably intertwined. Inside the dim corridors of the abandoned research station, the trio found a semblance of safety. As Lyra's condition stabilized, she began to explore her surroundings with an increasing sense of curiosity. The effects of the neural stabilizer were evident. Her movements were more assured, and the vibrant colors of her skin flowed freely, reflecting her emotions more vividly than before. One morning, Jack found Lyra gazing out of a viewport, watching a meteor shower light up the distant void. He approached quietly, not wanting to startle her. It's beautiful, isn't it? Jack asked, joining her at the window. Yes, very different from Alicia, but beautiful in its own way, Lyra replied, her skin shimmering with hues of admiration and wonder. Jack nodded. I've always found space to be humbling. It reminds us of how small our troubles really are in the grand scheme of things. Lyra turned to him, her expression thoughtful. And yet, you chose to help me, despite the vastness of your own world's issues. Why? Jack shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. Maybe because of that vastness. Out here, we have to look out for each other, no matter where we come from. Their conversation was interrupted by Tom's voice echoing through the hallways. Jack, Lyra, you might want to come see this. They found Tom in the control room, his eyes fixed on a series of screens displaying various data streams. I've been scanning the local star maps, and I found something odd. There's an anomaly a few sectors away that doesn't match any known cosmic activity. It could be a new phenomenon, or it could be something else. Something else? Like what? Jack asked, intrigued. Possibly a cloaked ship, or maybe a hidden base. This sector was known for pirate activity in the past, Tom explained, adjusting the controls to enhance the image. Lyra's colors shifted to a more cautious shade. Pirates? Could they be a threat to us here? Possibly, Tom admitted. But this could also be our chance to learn more about who is behind your abduction, Lyra. If we can figure out what's going on out there, we might be able to help prevent it from happening to others. Jack considered this. Tom's right. We should investigate. It's risky, but it's also a chance to gather some intelligence. What do you think, Lyra? Lyra paused, her colors swirling as she mulled over her decision. Finally, she nodded. I want to help. I need to help if I can. All right, it's settled then. We'll take the ship out and see what we can find. Tom, prep the engine. Lyra, you're with me. Let's get you familiarized with our equipment. There might be a need for everyone to pitch in, Jack said, turning towards the equipment bay. As they walked, Jack began explaining the basics of their ship's operation, from navigation to sensor analysis. Lyra listened intently, her mind absorbing the information rapidly. Tom joined them after a while, grinning. Engines ready, and the ship is all set for a little excursion into the unknown. Together, they boarded their small vessel, the atmosphere among them a blend of excitement and apprehension. As they departed the station, Jack took one last look at the safe haven that had sheltered them. No matter what happens out there, he thought, we're in this together. The ship slipped silently through the cosmos, its course set towards the mysterious anomaly. Inside, three unlikely allies prepared to face whatever secrets the stars held hidden. Their resolve as firm as the metal walls that encased them in the vast, unending universe. The ship hummed through the void of space, its crew silent and contemplative as they approached the coordinates of the anomaly. Tom manned the navigation console, his fingers gliding over the controls with practiced ease. Lyra stood beside Jack at the main viewport, her gaze fixed on the starry expanse ahead. So, what exactly are we looking for? Lyra asked, her voice tinged with curiosity and a slight undertone of anxiety. Any sign of unnatural disturbances or technology. Something that doesn't quite fit with the natural flow of space around it, Jack explained, his eyes scanning the readouts on the screen beside him. Tom chimed in from his station. Yeah, and any radio silence or cloaked ships. Those pirates are clever, but not always completely invisible. As they neared the anomaly, a series of soft beeps erupted from the console. Tom's eyes narrowed as he read the data. We've got something. Looks like a faint energy signature, not far from here. It's weak, but definitely artificial. Can we get closer? Jack asked, turning to adjust the ship's trajectory. Doing it now, Tom replied, his hands moving swiftly over the controls. The ship edged closer to the source of the energy signature, the stars seeming to shift slightly as they adjusted course. Lyra watched, her body language tense. What happens if they detect us? We have a few countermeasures ready. Hopefully, we won't need to use them, Jack reassured her, giving her a brief smile. You okay with this? Lyra nodded, her skin glowing a determined shade of violet. Yes, I need to know more to understand why this happened to me. Silence fell again as the ship approached the coordinates. Suddenly, the vessel shuddered lightly, a sign they were close. "We're here," Tom announced. "The source is just ahead, hidden behind that asteroid." Jack peered out the viewport, spotting the shadowed outline of a large, irregularly shaped asteroid. "All right, let's be careful. Tom, keep the engines quiet. Lyra, you're with me. Let's try to get a visual on whatever is hiding out there." Together, they crept toward the asteroid. As they rounded it, a ship came into view, partially obscured by the rocky surface. It was unlike any typical pirate ship, sleek, almost elegant, but with no visible markings. "There," Lyra pointed, her voice a whisper. "What is that?" Tom examined the ship through the sensors. "It's a smuggler's ship, all right. Modified for stealth and speed. Not currently active from what I can tell. Looks like they're laying low." Jack frowned, considering their options. "We need more information. Tom, stay here and monitor the systems. Lyra, let's get a closer look. Maybe we can access their data core." Carefully, they donned their space suits and prepared to exit the ship. The airlock hissed as it opened, exposing them to the cold silence of space. Using their suits' thrusters, they maneuvered toward the smuggler's ship. Reaching it, Jack found a service panel. He worked quickly to bypass the security, his hands steady despite the weightlessness. With a soft click, the panel opened, revealing the ship's internal systems. "Here goes nothing," Jack muttered, connecting his portable scanner to the ship's data core. Data streamed across the screen in a flurry of code and images. Lyra watched over his shoulder, her breath visible in her helmet's visor. "Can you understand it?" "Some of it. It looks like they've been tracking ships, taking note of their cargo and their crew," Jack explained, his voice grim. "Looks like you were part of a larger scheme, Lyra. They're trading in rare species, both flora and fauna." Lyra's colors dimmed, a mix of blue and gray sadness washing over her. "So, I was just another item to collect?" Jack placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "Not anymore. We'll make sure of that. Let's get back to Tom and plan our next move." Together, they returned to their ship, each step back heavy with the weight of the truths they had uncovered. Yet, despite the grim reality, there was a newfound resolve between them. They were not just a crew. They were a team, united by a common purpose. Back aboard their own ship, the atmosphere was tense, yet charged with a new purpose. Jack, Tom, and Lyra gathered around the central console, poring over the data Jack had extracted from the smuggler's ship. "Look at this," Jack said, pointing at the screen where several encrypted files lined up. "These files contain records of transactions and movements. If we can decode them, we might be able to find out where they're taking these creatures." Tom leaned in, his eyes narrowing as he scrolled through the complex encryption. "This is high-level security. It's going to take some time to crack." "We don't have a lot of that," Lyra interjected, her tone anxious yet determined. "Every moment we wait, more beings like me suffer." Jack met her gaze, his expression resolute. "We'll get it done. Tom, start working on those encryptions. Lyra, you and I can go through the less secure files, see if we can learn anything more about their operations." As Tom set up algorithms to decrypt the files, Jack and Lyra began sifting through the other documents. They worked in close proximity, occasionally brushing hands as they passed notes and data pads back and forth. The tension from their shared task was palpable, and an unspoken connection seemed to grow between them. After several hours, Lyra leaned back, rubbing her eyes. "It's overwhelming, all this information, all these lives treated like mere objects." Jack looked over at her, his face softening. "It's hard, seeing the depth of cruelty firsthand. But we're going to make a difference, Lyra. We're going to stop them." Lyra's skin shimmered with a soft light, reflecting her mixed emotions. "I believe you, Jack. And thank you for everything." Jack smiled, reaching out to gently squeeze her hand. "We're in this together." Their moment was interrupted by Tom's triumphant shout. "Got it! I cracked one of the files." Jack and Lyra rushed over, peering over Tom's shoulder as he opened the decrypted file. It contained dates, locations, and names, all potentially linked to the smuggling ring's operations. "This is it," Tom said, his voice filled with excitement. "We got a lead on their main hub. It's not far from here, in a sector known for its black market dealings." Jack's eyes lit with a mixture of dread and determination. We need to go there, see if we can gather enough evidence to bring them down. Lyra nodded, her expression fierce. Let's do it. Let's end this. With a new destination in mind, the trio prepared for the next leg of their mission. The journey to the smuggling hub was quick, the ship's engines humming smoothly as Tom piloted them through the starlit void. As they approached the coordinates, the reality of their mission settled in, a mix of fear and adrenaline. Jack checked their weapon systems, while Lyra prepared the surveillance equipment. They were a team, each member crucial to the mission's success. Approaching target, Tom announced, his voice calm yet tense. Going dark to avoid detection, the ship's lights dimmed, and they moved silently towards the hub. It was a massive complex floating in space, its exterior blinking with occasional lights that hinted at its illicit activities. "Ready?" Jack asked, looking between Tom and Lyra. "Ready." They responded in unison. With careful precision, they docked at the hub, avoiding the main ports to remain unseen. Dressed in dark, nondescript suits, they entered the hub, blending in with the crowd. Jack led the way, his senses heightened. Lyra stayed close, her eyes scanning for any sign of danger, while Tom kept an eye on their exit route. Together, they moved deeper into the hub, their mission clear in their minds. They were not just fighting for Lyra's freedom, but for the freedom of countless others trapped in the shadows of the galaxy. Inside the sprawling complex of the smuggling hub, the dim lighting and the muffled sounds of clandestine deals created an oppressive atmosphere. Jack, Tom, and Lyra navigated through the crowded corridors, their senses alert to any danger. They wore nondescript utility suits that blended with the rough crowd of traders and criminals that frequented the hub. As they made their way deeper into the facility, Jack kept a vigilant watch while Tom fiddled with a handheld scanner, tracking for any encrypted communications that could lead them to the leaders of the smuggling ring. Lyra, her senses sharpened by her own experiences, pointed out suspicious transactions and individuals who seemed out of place. "Over there," Lyra whispered, nodding subtly towards a heavily guarded door at the end of a secluded hallway. "That area is more secure than others. It could be where they're keeping records or holding meetings." Tom adjusted the settings on his scanner and nodded. "She's right. I'm picking up a lot of encrypted data coming from that direction. It's worth a closer look." Jack led the way, his steps measured and silent. As they approached the door, he turned to his companions. "Stay sharp. We might not have much time once we're inside." Using a set of lock picks, Jack carefully worked on the door mechanism. Within moments, the lock clicked open silently. They slipped inside, finding themselves in a dimly lit office filled with data pads and holoscreens displaying various logistical data. Tom went straight to a console, plugging in a device to start downloading the data. Jack and Lyra scanned the room for any physical documents or items that could be of use. "Jack, look at this," Lyra called out softly, holding up a data pad that showed a list of recent transactions, including dates and coordinates. "This could help us track where they've sent others." Jack took the data pad, his eyes quickly scanning the information. "Good find, Lyra. This could be the breakthrough we need." As Tom's device continued to download the data, a sudden alarm blared throughout the building. Red lights flashed, signaling a security breach. "They know we're here," Tom said, his voice tense as he worked faster to secure the data. "We need to move, now," Jack declared, ushering his team towards the back of the room where they spotted another exit. As they made their escape through the narrow service corridors of the hub, the sounds of shouting and the clatter of armed guards filled the air behind them. Lyra led the way, her memory of the layout from the data pad guiding them towards a less monitored section of the complex. Finally, they burst out of an emergency exit and into the docking bay where their ship was hidden. Tom covered their retreat, firing a few well-placed shots to delay the pursuers. "Everyone aboard, quickly!" Jack shouted as they reached their ship. Tom jumped into the pilot's seat, firing up the engines, while Jack and Lyra secured the hatch. As the ship detached from the station, Tom maneuvered it deftly through the chaotic traffic of the smuggling hub, avoiding debris and incoming fire. "We're clear," Tom finally announced, the tension in his voice easing as they put distance between themselves and the hub. In the safety of their ship, Jack and Lyra reviewed the data they had secured. "We have enough evidence here to expose the entire network," Jack said, a grim satisfaction in his tone. Lyra nodded, her skin glowing softly with relief and a touch of pride. "And we've got coordinates. We can find the others, save them." Jack placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We will, Lyra. We'll bring them all home." As the stars streaked past them, a sense of quiet determination settled over the crew. They had faced danger together and come out stronger. Now, with the information at their fingertips, they were ready to take the next step in their mission to dismantle the smuggling ring once and for all. Back on their ship, the crew gathered in the main cabin to sift through the data they had stolen from the smuggling hub. Jack leaned over the console, his face illuminated by the glowing screen. Tom sat across from him, arms crossed, his expression a mixture of exhaustion and focus. Lyra stood nearby, her skin softly shimmering with anticipation as she observed the two men work. Tom tapped a few keys, bringing up a series of holographic maps. "Okay, here's what we've got." These coordinates seem to align with drop points used by the smugglers. Each one is a small outpost or a transport ship waiting to collect the goods. Jack frowned. Any indication of where the captured beings are sent after that? "Some of them are sold directly to private buyers," Tom explained, pointing to a list of transactions. "But a lot of them are funneled through one main location. It's marked here as Station V14. No details, but it looks like the heart of their operation." Lyra stepped closer, her voice firm. "We have to go there. That's where the others will be." Jack turned to her, his expression cautious. "Lyra, we can't just rush in blind. If this place is the center of their operations, it'll be heavily guarded. We need a plan." Tom nodded. "He's right. We've been lucky so far, but this isn't some backwater smuggling hub. This is their stronghold." Lyra's colors dimmed slightly, but her voice didn't waver. "We've come this far. If we wait, more lives will be lost. We have to act." Jack ran a hand through his hair, sighing. "All right, we'll go, but we're doing this smart. Tom, can you pull up schematics for the station? Anything we can use to our advantage." Tom tapped at the console again, searching through the files. "Got it. Looks like the station has a maintenance hatch on the lower decks. We could dock there, bypass most of their security." "Good," Jack said. "Once we're inside, Lyra and I will locate the holding cells while you stay on the ship and monitor the situation. If anything goes wrong, you'll be our way out." Tom smirked. "As usual, I'm the one cleaning up your messes." Jack grinned back. "You're good at it." Lyra's glow brightened slightly, a sign of gratitude and hope. "Thank you, both of you. I won't let you down." The ship fell silent as they prepared for their next move, each of them lost in their thoughts. Jack double-checked their equipment, ensuring they had everything they needed. Tom programmed the ship's autopilot for a quick escape if necessary. Lyra stood by the viewport, gazing out at the stars. Jack approached her quietly. "You holding up okay?" She turned to him, her expression soft. "I'm nervous, but I'm ready. This is something I have to do." "You're not alone in this," Jack said firmly. "We're a team now." Lyra smiled, her skin shimmering with warmth. "Thank you, Jack. That means more than you know." Tom's voice broke the moment. "All right, lovebirds, we're coming up on the station. Let's stay focused." Jack chuckled, shaking his head as he moved to the cockpit. "You always know how to ruin a moment, don't you?" "It's a gift," Tom replied with a smirk. As the station loomed into view, the crew braced themselves for what lay ahead. The maintenance hatch was their way in, but what they would find inside was a mystery. Together, they prepared to face whatever dangers awaited, their determination driving them forward. The ship docked silently at the maintenance hatch of Station V14, its engines humming faintly as Tom shut them down. Jack, Tom, and Lyra huddled near the airlock, finalizing their plan. "All right," Jack began, checking his equipment. "Tom, you stay here and monitor the station systems. Keep the engines warm and be ready to extract us if things get hairy." Tom gave a mock salute. "Don't worry. I've got your backs as always." Jack turned to Lyra. "You stick close to me. This isn't a simple infiltration anymore. We're walking into the heart of their operation." Lyra nodded, her expression resolute. "I understand. I'm ready." The airlock hissed open, and Jack led the way into the dimly lit corridor. The station was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that made every footstep seem amplified. Tom's voice crackled in their comms. "Security is light in this sector, but I'm picking up movement 2 levels above you. Avoid that area." "Got it," Jack replied, motioning for Lyra to follow him down a narrow hallway. They moved quickly, guided by the schematics Tom had uploaded to their wrist devices. As they approached the holding cells, Lyra froze, her skin rippling with colors of fear and anticipation. "I can feel them," she whispered. "Others like me. They're here." Jack placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll get them out, Lyra. Stay with me." They reached a sealed door, its control panel blinking with security locks. Jack knelt beside it, pulling out a small device. "Give me a minute. I'll override this." Lyra stood guard, her senses heightened. Moments later, the door slid open with a low hiss, revealing a large room filled with containment pods. Inside each pod was a being. Some humanoid, others more alien, their expressions vacant from sedation. "This is worse than I thought," Jack muttered, stepping inside. He approached one of the consoles near the pods and began working on releasing the locks. "Tom, we found them. Can you disable the station's alarms from your end?" Tom's voice came through immediately. "Already on it. You've got 10 minutes before the system resets. Make it count." Lyra moved among the pods, her glowing hand pressing against the transparent barriers. "We're here to free you," she said softly, her voice carrying a promise. Jack worked quickly, unlocking pod after pod. As the beings inside began to stir, Lyra guided them gently, reassuring them in languages Jack couldn't understand but felt the emotion behind. Suddenly, Tom's voice interrupted. "Guys, you got company. Security is headed your way. I'm locking doors to slow them down, but you need to hurry." "Damn it," Jack growled, doubling his pace. "Lyra, start leading them to the ship. I'll cover the rear." Lyra nodded, her determination evident as she helped the groggy captives move. "Follow me. You're safe now." The group moved as quickly as they could, Jack staying behind to ensure no one was left behind. As they reached the docking bay, alarms blared throughout the station. Tom was at the ship's ramp, ushering everyone aboard. "Move it, Jack!" Tom yelled, covering their retreat with his blaster. Jack sprinted aboard, slamming the hatch closed as the ship's engines roared to life. "Go, Tom! Get us out of here!" The ship tore away from the station, weaving through the chaos of pursuing craft. Tom's hands danced over the controls, piloting them with skill. "I hope you appreciate how good I am at this," he quipped, grinning despite the tension. Jack collapsed into a seat, breathing heavily as he looked at Lyra. "We did it." Lyra smiled, her skin glowing brightly as she knelt beside him. "No, Jack. We did it." The ship's occupants, free beings from across the galaxy, sat in silence, their expressions slowly shifting from confusion to hope. Jack and Lyra exchanged a look, an unspoken understanding passing between them. They had accomplished something extraordinary together, and their journey was far from over. Tom's voice broke the silence. "Where to now, Captain?" Jack smirked, leaning back in his seat. "Somewhere safe. And after that, we'll figure it out." As the ship disappeared into the vastness of space, Jack, Tom, and Lyra knew their fight wasn't over. But for now, they had won a victory that mattered. A victory for freedom, for courage, and for each other.